What happens when the leader of one of the world's oldest spiritual institutions passes, and centuries-old prophecies say he might be the last? The last what, you may be asking? The last pope. What if I told you that everything you know is just the beginning? Beyond the veil of the ordinary lies a realm of hidden knowledge, ancient wisdom, and untapped potential. A place where consciousness expands, reality bends, and the impossible becomes possible. You weren't meant to stay asleep. You were meant to awaken. Open your mind, remember who you truly are, and step with me beyond the frequency 369. Hey, before you start the episode, if you're on YouTube or Rumble, like, subscribe, and hit that bell. You want to make a comment? Go for it. It's America. If you catch me on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, hit me with those 5 stars. I appreciate the support. Let's start the show. I'm Cesar Pagan, and you're listening to 369 Knowledge, the solo segment of my podcast where I explore a single topic that's been on my mind or something that just came up recently. This isn't my main show, Beyond the Frequency 369, where I normally sit down with guests and interview them. This is a space where I unpack ideas, hidden stories, and unfolding truths on my own, directly with you. Today we're diving into a powerful moment, the recent death of Pope Francis at the age of 88. Whether you follow the church or not, his death touches something deeper when viewed through the lens of esoteric prophecy, symbolic numbers, and spiritual transition. There's a belief centuries old that he could have been the final pope. There's also a very real fact that during his time, he opened a sealed tomb beneath St. Peter's Basilica that hadn't been touched in over 1,000 years. Yes, I said it, 1,000 years. And around that same time, the world shifted dramatically. So today, I'm not here to give you answers. I'm here to guide you through a thought process, exploring forgotten prophecies, spiritual symbolism, and esoteric threads that may be more real than we think. So explore with me what this could all mean, not just for the church, but for human consciousness. He refused the lavish papal residence, chose humility over hierarchy, and made social justice, ecology, and outreach to the marginalized central themes of his papacy. But he also walked a fine line. For those who like to stick with traditions, he was controversial. His openness to LGBTQ+ conversations, his remarks on hell possibly not existing in a literal sense, and his call for a more inclusive church stirred a lot of waves. So here's the question. Was he simply progressive, or was he playing out a bigger part in an ancient script? Something symbolic? Something esoteric? And then there's the number 88. In numerology, 88 isn't just about cycles. It's about a spiritual karma, infinity, gateways between the realms. The double 8 is also seen as a master number in certain mystical traditions, representing dual timelines converging. Could his death at 88 have marked the closing of one spiritual cycle and the entry into a new paradigm? What do you think? Do we assign too much meaning to numbers, or have we been taught to ignore their true power? In the 1100s, Saint Malachy, an Irish bishop, claimed to have received a vision outlining 112 future popes, each described cryptically. These descriptions, often only a few words long, were shockingly accurate, at least until recent times. The final pope, according to the text, would be Peter the Roman. He would guide the church, and I quote, through great tribulation, after which the city of Rome would be destroyed. And then it ends. Francis is the 112th pope on the list. Is that a coincidence? His family heritage traces back to Italy. Symbolically, he carries the Petrine role, the rock of the church. Could Peter the Roman be archetypal rather than literal? And how do we interpret, in quotes, the city of 7 hills shall be destroyed, end quotes? Could that be a metaphor for the fall of structure rather than a city? The fall of old spiritual authority, making ways for something new? Ask yourself, could the prophecy have been misunderstood? Or has it just been to play out in ways we weren't expecting? And here's another angle. What if these prophecies aren't predictions, but instructions? Codes left behind for those willing to look deeper. Now, let's talk about the tomb, because this part of the story feels like something out of an esoteric thriller. In 2020, Pope Francis ordered the opening of a sealed tomb beneath St. Peter's Basilica. Official records said it was to investigate the remains of 2 princesses, but some believe it was much more than that. See, in esoteric circles, ancient tombs, especially beneath holy structures, are believed to be more than burial sites. They're seen as frequency locks, placed over energetic nodes or portals to other dimensions or timelines. The Vatican sits atop one of the most powerful grid points on Earth. Some call it the ley line convergence zone. If you open a tomb sealed for 1,000 years without proper ceremony, without conscious alignment, what do you actually release? Is it a spirit? A curse? A dormant frequency? See, shortly after the tomb was open, the world entered chaos. Mass illness, lockdowns, energetic distortions. You could say it's a coincidence. Or you could ask, did opening that tomb unravel something ancient? Could it have been holding back a timeline we were never meant to experience? Or did it catalyze a shift we needed to go through? And what if the real purpose of the tomb wasn't physical, but spiritual? Now, let's expand the view here. In esoteric thought, the church is more than an institution. It's a symbol, an archetype of external authority, of divine permission outsourced. The Pope is often seen esoterically as a gatekeeper of heaven, not in a literal sense, but as a figure who stands between the people and the divine. So ask yourself, what happens when the gatekeeper exits the stage? Could his exit be the signal of the breaking of an illusion that we need to access this divine truth? And let's go deeper. What if the church itself has played both roles, guardian and suppressor, preserving certain mysteries while hiding others? Why has the Vatican Library been off limits to the world for centuries? What texts have they deemed forbidden for us to read? What knowledge is kept behind those locked vaults? Could the final pope also be the last one holding the keys to the hidden knowledge? And what if, just what if, he opened the tomb not to investigate, but to release? To initiate the unraveling of secrets, to allow humanity to start remembering what we were never supposed to forget. There's a lot of questions here, folks. Now, let's bring it all back to us. You've probably felt it. Something is shifting. People are waking up, questioning religion, history, science, authority. They're not abandoning spirituality, they're reclaiming it. The idea of a final pope might sound scary, but maybe it's necessary. Maybe this isn't the end of belief, it's the beginning of knowing. We're no longer in the age of spiritual outsourcing. We're in the age of remembrance. And with remembrance comes responsibility. So what do you do with this moment? Do we turn away because it's uncomfortable? Or do we turn inward and listen to the part of us that knows? You don't need a pope to be your voice. You don't need a gatekeeper to bless your journey. You are always enough. You are always connected. As we wrap things up, just a few things to just think about, folks. Could Pope Francis' passing mark the start of a spiritual decentralization? Was the tomb a release of physical history or energetic memory? Have the prophecies been misread all this time? Or are they happening in a language we're only now beginning to understand? What role does the Vatican still play in today's awakening? And if the gates are now open, what will you choose to walk into? There's a lot to think about here and a lot to discern. But I want to remind all of you, you don't need to be asking questions outside of yourself. You have the answers within. It's a feeling. It's a resonance. Trust your intuition. Trust your visions. Trust your thoughts. This episode wasn't about religion. It wasn't about right or wrong. It was about awareness. It was about remembering that behind every world event is a deeper layer. Sometimes a hidden hand. Sometimes a divine plan. We are not here to fear the shift. We're here to recognize it. If this made you think or see things differently, share it. Talk about it. Ask your people what they think. Because these are the kinds of conversations and questions that pull us closer to the truth. And if you enjoyed the episode, again, like. And if you'd like to show your support, like, subscribe, rate the show. And as always, I love you, I see you, I hear you, I am you. Continue to ask questions. Don't be afraid to pull back the curtain and take a deeper look. Push forward, always reaching beyond the frequency.